In this session today, we'll be learning all the different types of components that are used in a registration form. First of all, I'll run the program and I'll show you what we are learning today. And you can see that in this form, let me close this, let me bring the code in the front. Yes. So in the line number 15, we have declared label. So these are the labels. Registration form is a label, name is a label, mobile is label, gender is label, date of birth is label, and address is label. So labels are used to display some information before we take input from the user so that the user can understand what we are trying to ask. So if this text box is used for user name input, we are giving a label name so that user can understand that here the user has to provide his name. So this is text field. J text field is used for text input. J label is used for label. So if we start from here, line number 15, we have a title, registration form, then we have a label, name, then we have a text field, T name, this is T name. Then we have a label, mobile number, MNO, this is mobile, and here we have to provide the mobile number in the registration process. Then we have a label gender. So this is a label gender. And after gender, we have two radio buttons. So we have J radio button class for declaring radio button. So what happens in radio button, we can select any one of them. You can see we cannot select both. So whenever there are a group of options for the user and we want any one option to be selected, then we create the radio button. So we have radio buttons. Then we have a label date of birth. This is for date of birth. And then we have three combo boxes. These drop downs are called combo boxes where we have a lot of input for the user to make. So these are the combo boxes. You just go through and concentrate what are each of these used for. So these are the combo boxes, date, month, and year. So these are the combo boxes. Then we have a label for address. And then we have a text area. This is a text area. Text area means we can input multiple lines, and text field means we can input a single line. So name and mobile will be text field components, and address will be a text area component. So this text area. Then there is a checkbox. This is a checkbox. This can be checked or unchecked. So we have a checkbox here that is for terms and conditions. Then we have buttons for submit and reset. So we have two buttons. One is for submit and other is for reset. And then we have a text area here where we will be displaying all this information. So suppose I have filled in this form and now I want address. I accept the terms and conditions and I submit. So you can see all the informations are displayed here and registration successful. Message is also getting displayed. So whenever we want registration or a lot of input from the user, there can be different types of input. There can be a single line input. Then there can be radio button input, wherein the user can see different options and select one of them. Then there are drop downs. These are called combo boxes. Then multiple line. These are called text area. Then we have a checkbox. This can be either checked or unchecked. Then we have buttons and we have labels. So we have declared all of these here in the, you can see we have a started class my frame. There is extends frame, implement action list. So this is one way of writing the program. And now these are the components which we have declared here. So these are all the components. Now we have to initialize all these variables. So there are three components in the date. There's the day, there's the month, and then there's the year. So the day is stored in our dates array. You can see in the dates array, we have stored from 1 to 31. Then in the month array, we have stored from January to December. Then in the year, we have stored from 1995 to 2023. Since this is the current year as of now, we can uh, use a loop also for this. How we can do that, we'll see. So these are the variables that are objects that we have declared. Now we come in the constructor. And here in the constructor, we are, I can show you the window so that, yes. In the window, you can see set title, registration form, says the title here, registration form. Then set bounds will set the size of this window. Whenever we are running this window, I'll close it. When I run this window, you see this window appears at a particular position and it has a particular size. So the position is the first two column X and Y, where this window will appear on the screen, and the second and third are the width and height of the window. And then we have a close button. So if we click the close button, it will be closed. And here we have set resizable to false. What does this mean? That we cannot resize it. We cannot hold the edge and drag the or change the size, because if we change the size, the layout will disturb. So we don't want to change the size. We want this window to be a fixed size. So for that, we have used the set resizable property false. And now we have to add these things onto the screen. For that, we set the layout as null. When we set the layout as null, what we have to do? Whenever we are adding a component on the screen, we have to mention four things: the X and Y coordinate, where it will be added on the screen, and also the size. So we have used the coordinate system. That is why we have set layout as null. Now we are creating the title registration form. This is the registration form. Title equals to new JLabel registration form. We are setting the font as plain. We are setting the size 300 by 30. Width is 300 and height is 30. And this is the location. X is 300 and Y is 30. This is X. From this edge to the start of the R, this is X, and from the top to this, the top position of R, that is 30. And then we add this onto the screen with c.add title will make this appear on the screen. Similarly, what we have to do, we have to create each of the objects. I'll show you one by one. Now we want the name label. So you can see the name label, how it is added from 77 to 81. This is the name label. Then from 83 to 87, this is the text box. Please concentrate up till this, how it is getting added, and the window is also in front of you. I'll wait for your concentration on these lines. Okay. So you can see We are instantiating this label with the text name. We are setting its font using the font. Then we are setting its size, and then we are adding it on the screen. So this is name added on the screen. Then with the name, we want a text field. So there's the T name text field. The T name text field uh, position, you can see it is 200 by 100. Now, concentrate on line number 86 and line number 80. The line number 80 is adding the name label on the screen. So the X, this is 100. From this position to this N is 100. And from top to this N is 100. But where do we want this text field? We want this text field with X increased to 200. But Y has to be same. Y has to be same because the position of name and the position of text field should appear on the same line. That is why we have kept Y same. Now you can see the mobile number. For mobile number, we are starting from 100 and the top we have increased from 100 to 150. So this is the mobile number, and with mobile number, you can see we have with mobile number, you can see we have increased the Y position to 150, X to 200. So X is, this is 100 and this is 200, and Y we have increased the same Y for mobile label and same Y for the mobile text. Now we come down for gender. So I'll show you the gender option also. For gender, you can see we created a gender label. The coordinates 100 and 200, we have added the gender. Now we are creating radio buttons. We want two radio buttons. One is with the label male and the other is with the label female. So you can see the first radio button is selected to true. That is why it is by default selected. Then we are setting the size and we are setting the location. And we are adding it. So you can see the height of y-axis of this gender label, y-axis of male radio button, y-axis of female radio button. These are all same because the height from top has to be same so that it should appear on the same line. Now we have added this male and female. So what we want, that male and female radio button, either of them should be selected. Both should not be selected at the same time. So when we selected female, this should get deselected. When we select male, this should be deselected. For that, we have to put this male and female in one group. So for that, we use the button group property, and in the button group, we add the male and female radio button. I'll explain this again. In case of radio button, there are two radio buttons in our case for gender, male and female, but both cannot be selected at the same time. So for that, after creating the radio buttons, what we have to do, we have to put it in one group. So all the buttons, all the radio buttons in one group, we can select only one out of them. So for that, we have created a radio button group and added male and female here. Now you can see in this radio button case, when we are creating the male radio button, we have called the set selected function to true, so that this is male is by default true. If we want female to be by default selected, then here we will not use anything, and here we will use the set selected. Here instead of false, we'll put this true, and here we'll make it false, so that it will be selected. Now we have to use the date of birth. So for date of birth, you can see what we are doing here. I'll bring the screen also in front of you. For date of birth, first we have a label. So this is a label. The font is set. The height and width of this label is set. and then the location is set 100 by 250. So this is 100, this is height is 250. And now we have three combo boxes. These are the combo boxes. Combo boxes are controls where all the options are in the drop down, and when we select any one of them, it appears there. So it can be like this. So we have created three combo boxes, one for the day, one for the month, one for the year. So this is the combo box. First combo box, you can see the height is 250 for all of these four controls, because we want these four controls to be on the same line. First control is label, second control is this combo box, third control, and fourth control. So all these appears on the same line. Now we are coming to the address. You can see we have a label address and we have a text field. This is the text field. So when we are creating the text field is for multi-line input. You can see we can have a multi-line input when we can enter and add. But here we cannot use the enter key to add another line. So there's a text field and this is the text area. So in the text area, we have called the function line wrap equals to true. So what will happen? Suppose we are typing, and as soon as the line will end, it will automatically come. It won't scroll, but it will come to the next line. If we don't call this function line wrap, then what will happen? It will go on typing on the same line, and a scroll bar will be added. And if you have to come to the next line, you have to put the enter key. So either way you can use. Now we have a checkbox. So we have used a checkbox for accepting the terms and conditions. We have set the position. Then we have two buttons, submit button and reset button. You can see the submit button and the reset button, height and width specs. Now we have a text area. You can see. Excuse me. This is the text area where we'll be displaying the submitted information. So all these informations will come when we accept the submit, then all this information will come here in the text area, and reset will clear all this information. So we have two buttons, one for the submit, one for the reset, and this is the text area where the informations will be displayed. So this is how in the constructor, you can see what we have done. Some of you have joined late. This is a registration form design. So in the main, in the class, the name is my frame. This is extending JFrame. So as soon as we extend a JFrame, we get all the property of the window. Either we can create the JFrame object like we did in the previous class, or we can use the extends keyword. What is the property of extends? Extends means JFrame is the parent class and my frame is the child class. And then we have buttons. When we click the buttons, we have to perform some action. So we use the action listener. And these are the different components. I'll explain once again. See, in the previous programs that we have discussed about the window programming, we have used only buttons and text field. But here we have, these are the labels. Registration form is a label, name is a label, mobile is a label. Label is a component that is used only to give output. Then for input, we have so many types of classes. This is a JTextField class for taking name input. Mobile is also a JTextField class. Then we have a radio button class for this purpose. Then we have the combo box class for this purpose. Then we have text area class for multi-line input. Then we have a checkbox to see whether it is checked or not. Then we have a submit and the reset button and the text area. So in the constructor, what we are doing, we are one by one setting up different properties of one class, and then we are adding it onto the window. So I'll explain the first time once again. So this is a registration form. This is a label. we are setting the font. If we do not use font, then it will appear in the default font, the smallest font, that is the default font. But since we want it in a little bit bigger size, we have used a different size. You can see here the size of this registration form is 30, where the size of this name mobile is 20. If we want name mobile to be a little bit smaller, we can make it 15 or 12 as per our requirement. So in the set font, you can see the name is of 20 size and the registration form is 30 size. In set font, we use uh, three parameters. The first parameter is the font style, that can be Arial, Times New Roman, and etc. Then we have font plain, font bold, font italic. Font plain is this plain. Italic means it will appear italic, and if we want to make it bold, we can make it font bold also here. Then the size. So these are three parameters that are set. So for one control to bring it on the screen, first we instantiate it, then we call this function font, then we call the function size, so that the size of this registration form is set. Size is width is 300 and height is 30. This is height and this is the width. And then we have to set location, so position on the screen, and then we add. So it is added at this position on the screen. Similarly, we have added every other control and we have designed it in the constructor. Now we have the action performed. When we click the button, the action performed will be clicked. Since there are two buttons, so we have to check which button has been clicked, and accordingly will perform the operation. So you can see here that we have a button submit and a button reset. So when the reset button is clicked, what we are doing, we are clearing everything. So T name will be cleared. So this is, suppose we are writing here, and when we click, so what is happening? It is getting removed. When we are, suppose we are selecting this, we want it to the default value. So we use tname.setText default, tadd.setText default. Default is a string with an empty string. So everything will be set as default. And when we put it, these lines are getting executed. Now, this part is executed when the submit button is clicked. So when the submit button is clicked, what we are doing, we'll try to understand what is happening when the submit button is clicked. So first of all, I'll put these values here so that we understand it better. Now, when we click the submit button, this get source equals to submit will be true, and we have to check whether this checkbox is selected or not, checked or not. So first of all, we are checking whether the term is checked or not. If it is not checked, then what will happen? When we click, it gives please accept the terms and conditions. That means this condition will be false if it is not checked. So it will come to the else part. And here we are displaying the message, uh, please accept the terms and conditions. First of all, what we are doing, we are setting it as empty, T out, and then we have a result, this res add, and these T out, res add res. What are these? So let me explain what are these. T out is the text area, okay, in which we are displaying. Let me bring the screen. So this is the text area on the right hand side. This is T out. Okay, then rest is the result that comes here in the bottom. It is a label, and rest add is a text area. See, we have T out. Okay, T out is for this output. Then we have uh, res, this is the res part, and we have res add, this is the address, this is the address. So what we are doing when the user is not checking the terms and condition and clicking the submit button. So what we want this to be clear, and then what we are doing, we are giving this message, please accept the terms and conditions. Please accept the terms and conditions. These are the two messages here. Please accept the terms and conditions. This is coming here at the bottom. And if we are checking it and then we are clicking submit, then what will happen? This condition will be true. This core programming. So you have to concentrate and understand. When this will be true, then what will happen? We are taking out all the data. Name plus tname dot get text will bring Raju. Then mobile, we are adding in this data variable, we are adding name plus whatever is there in the name Raju. Then we are getting mobile and whatever is here in the mobile. Then if the male is selected, then we are adding data is gender male. Otherwise, we are adding data is gender female. Then for the date of birth, what we are doing, we are selecting the date, the month, and the year with the get selected item. This get selected item returns whatever value is selected in either of the checkboxes. So it will be date of birth will be 5/May/97. Then the address will be selected, and all this information will be displayed where? All this information will be displayed in T out. What is T out? T out is the text area on the right hand side, here on the right hand side. So when I click, you see everything is coming on the right hand side, and in the output here we are displaying registration successful. So this is how we are designing a very beautiful registration form, and we are taking all those types of input controls. These are the input controls: text, wheel, radio button, combo box in one, to understand everything. Now, what is your task? Your task is to go through this program in detail. I'll share the code also. Try to run, try to understand, and then if wherever you have any doubt, please discuss with me so that I can explain everything in detail. I'll give enough time for all of you. So if you have any question, you can ask, and otherwise I'll share the video, I'll share the program, run the video, try to understand, and then get back to me.